So, the stuff that I'm going to present tonight comes from a whole varied area of backgrounds. My background starts really in physical training and then has gone more into the mental, emotional, psychological side of things over the years. So I have a bit of an unusual background. I appreciate how the body works and how it functions, but really the way that the body functions is dependent on what goes on up here. And as I was getting into working sort of deeper and deeper with bodies, I was realising that if I wanted to have any degree of success with people in the long term, I also had to figure out what was going on in the head. So that's when I started studying hypnotherapy, coaching, NLP, kinesiology, and Tai Chi, because Tai Chi has an interesting effect on the way that our heads work. I was then approached during a training course by a guy who had a website, and this website was called Bulk Up Fast. And he said, right, I've got this website, I'm getting quite a few people coming up to it, I give away a free training course. One of the things that people tell me most that they have problems with is motivating themselves to get to the gym. So do you think you'd be able to put a product together that would help people with that? And I said, yeah, that should be fairly easy. So I started looking more deeply into the motivation stuff, and 6 months later wrote version 1 of the book about it. We published that on his website. He then got bored of doing any promotion work, and I didn't feel like doing it all myself, so kind of split our own ways. And then about a year after that, I thought I'd quite fancy rewriting this for my own website for Super Boot Camps. So spent about another 3 months rewriting it, doubled the words, reordered it, made it much nicer, and that's what I currently sell on my website. What we're going to cover here is sort of like snippets of the key points of what I cover in that book. To go through the whole book with everybody would take, between 3 and 5 workshops, depending on how quickly people go. So what I really want to do tonight is to give you a bit of an overview of the whole of the game, if you like, of motivation, and dip down into some of the most important parts. Okay. The first thing, I'm going to have to come around this way because I don't know about you, but working a trackpad that way around is just really, really difficult. So, first thing we're going to look at is motivation. Then we're going to give you the overview of the workshop, which is these 3 parts, and then we're going to go down through the individual bits and take it from there. I've got obviously my own understanding of what motivation is, and you guys will have your understandings of what motivation is. And the key thing, I guess, really is not that we all have the same definition, but it's more that your definition works for you in alignment with what we're aiming to do today. Because if you think motivation is one thing, but what I'm talking about is something completely different, and I present a load of tools that help you do that different thing, and you're not necessarily going to get what you want. Okay, so my definition of motivation is basically having the mindset and the action set, and then doing the action set for completing something. Whether that completing something is as simple as getting out of bed in the morning, because sometimes people struggle to get out of bed in the morning, the motivation for it, to eating the right foods, to going to the gym, to being productive at work, to cleaning the house. The 3 steps of it, of having the desire, then the set of actions, and then executing the actions, is always the same. There's always those 3 parts. The difference with stuff like this is that what we're doing is we're making those 3 parts explicit. And, if we choose to, then we can actually write bits of them down as well. We don't need to necessarily have our notepad by the side of the bed when we wake up in the morning and go, right, what's my mental state against that? Yeah. Okay, and action plan for getting out of bed, right, so pull the covers back, leg up, turn over to the side, go, oh, I feel creaky again, I've trained too hard, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. But for bigger things, or things that we find more important, we do want to have more of an action plan. At least more of an explicit understanding of how to create that action plan. In other words, what we need to do up here to make it so that we move forward and we get what we want. Okay. Do you guys have any sort of fairly serious deviations or differences to my definition of motivation as I just put it out there? Does that work for us all?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah? No? Any kind of like, I'd like to add to it? Any thoughts?